Okay, hello, my name is SYAWANI and my partner.
And my name is Nurfauzana.
And we are students from College Professional Mara. First of all, thank you for being here today for our interview session, as this is part of our assignment project regarding pragmatics and intercultural communication. So before we begin, can you introduce yourself and some brief information regarding your background?
My name is Navein. I was born in Ipoh, and I've been in my career for the past 11 years. So I'm working as a radiographer in Polyclinic Manjit.
In Polytech, sorry?
Polyclinic Manjit. I'm working as a radiographer and a sonographer.
I see. Sonographer and radiographer, right?
Yeah.
May I know how many languages do you speak and how has moving between these languages impacted your communication in the workplace?
Okay, I speak 4 languages: Malay, English, Tamil. Sorry, only 3 languages. I speak 3 languages, and moving between these languages has made me like more adaptable and sensitive to the needs of patient and different cultural background. So basically, it can improve my ability to provide clear explanation to the patient. So I don't have to worry that they don't understand. If let's say I'm talking to a Malay patient, I will use a simple term in simple Malay form so that they can understand better. And same goes to Indian patient. If certain words, if I explain them in English or use our own medical term, they won't understand. So I'll be like able to communicate in both language class so that end of the day they must understand what we are telling them.
I see.
So it gives me like smooth experience lah. Let's adapt me to talking in different languages.
I see. So in your opinion, does being multilingualism is kind of like, do you have like the same level of fluency for all the 3 languages or no?
No, got in some languages I'm quite weak and some languages I'm quite strong. So, but I don't see it very difficult to change between these languages lah. And let's say I'm not that good in Malay or in certain words, but I have my friends, colleagues who can guide me, who can help me and correct me whenever I'm wrong. So with their help, it's basically team effort lah. Everything can be sort out.
Okay, sure. Okay, so I get the point, like it's ability to adapt in the situation, right?
Correct.
Okay, so can we move on to the next question? Have you encountered any significant differences in terms of verbal communication styles between your culture and the dominant culture in your workplace?
Okay, I've observed that verbal communication style is generally like more indirect compared to the more straightforward approach. And especially Malay colleagues like patient tend to be like polite and avoid confrontational overly direct language. Like for example, they might use subtle suggestion rather than giving direct instruction, which I had to adapt coming across too blunt. On the other hand, Indian cultures, directness seen as efficient, especially in healthcare settings. So I have to adjust my tone and I have to adjust my wording so that they can understand better. Like end of the day, they must understand. So certain words like certain medical terms or something like that we can't use in our terms so that they don't understand. But let's say certain Indian people, they don't understand specific word or specific procedure. But you have to let them know. We have to make them understand what we're gonna do to them. Let's say I'm doing an X-ray. I must explain first which part, how they need to prepare for the procedure and everything. So each language, I find it we have to adjust our tone and we have to adjust our wordings, how we gonna tell them and how we going to make it everything smooth for them to understand.
I see. So it's different between the patient of different racial background as well. Like it does a difference, right? Okay.
Correct.
Next, as a radiographer and someone who works in the healthcare industry, how do you navigate the use of professional jargon or medical terminologies with colleagues or patients from different cultural backgrounds?
Medical jargon cannot be avoided, but the challenge in how we simplify it depending on the patients, like on the people. With colleagues, especially those trained in healthcare, using technical terms is natural and efficient. But however, patients from different cultural or educational background, I always ensure that I break down complex medical terminology into simple language. When dealing with Malay-speaking patients, I often use basic Malay terms for certain procedures, and with Tamil-speaking patients, I switch to Tamil, so my own mother tongue, so that they can understand better. The goal is they must understand everything.
I see. So, do you like actually visualize to them? Because when I was a patient before this, some doctors actually like they draw it to make people understand.
Yeah, correct. Sometimes we even Google, we even show our phone, YouTube, all of this will come into play. And end of the day, in whatever words, but we got also show like anatomy image or like YouTube videos or like pictures for them to understand better.
I see. Okay, next part. From your perspective, do you do new media platforms such as social media and messaging apps positively impact professional relationships in the workplace, or do they hinder them? For instance, like how doctors these days they actually do use social media platforms. Yeah. So, what your thoughts on it?
Yeah, social media now plays a big role in everything. Like let's say WhatsApp, social media messaging apps have significant impacted communication in healthcare settings. So based on my experience, they have mostly like positive influence, allowing quicker sharing of information, especially among the colleagues. For instance, we use messaging app to discuss patient cases, or sometimes we share, if let's say they come for dressing, about the wound or what X-rays. Sometimes we share everything in WhatsApp in my workplace, so that there's a fine line between being efficient and over relying on this platform. Sometimes in person communication is more effective lah, rather than explaining in the WhatsApp or anything. If in person, I can explain much better to them.
I see. Okay. So technically, like you think it's more preferable to explain face to face instruction,
Yeah,
right? When it comes to
I feel face to face is even more easier than putting everything in social media or WhatsApp. But for some cases, when they are not around, if any urgent matters, we have to let them know through social media lah. So also plays important role in communication, especially.
I see. Okay. Next part from me is, in your experience as a healthcare worker, may I know if you incorporate the use of humor in interactions with patients and colleagues from diverse cultural backgrounds? If yes, can you share whether the humor actually helped in bridging the communication, or it may actually have led to misunderstanding instead?
Oh, humor is actually double-edged sword. Sometimes it works, sometimes it don't work. Humor can be like great tool for, if let's say a patient having anxiety like that. So sometimes humor, or for a kid who's scared, let's say scared for injection or something like that, we try to use humor as much as we can lah. However, important to be cautious with the humor lah, because some might be sensitive. We cannot
I
like
see.
simply make everything in humor,
Yes.
especially when they are sick. So when they are sick, sometimes they can't accept certain humor from us. Sometimes it will help, sometimes it don't help.
I see. So
Because
if
when
given
they
to
are in pain, it's the challenge. We have to identify the situation first. Because some patients, they'll be like mad for making humor when they are in pain or sickness or something like that. Some they accept, some they laugh, they smile, they can divert themselves.
I see. Okay, so this is the part for me, and maybe moving on to Fauzana.
Okay, moving on to the next question. working with many people, how do you think personal space affects nonverbal communication styles with your colleagues?
Uh, in clinic setting, personal space is quite significant, particularly when dealing with patients from various cultural backgrounds. If let's say, for example, Indonesia might expect more personal space compared to Indian patients, who may be more comfortable with proximity. Being a radiographer, I often in situation where physical proximity is necessary due to the nature of imaging procedures. I've learned to gauge each patient's comfort level and adjust accordingly, making sure to respect their boundaries and communicate non-verbally through facial expression or gentle explanation when I need to be closer.
Okay, next question. Have you ever encountered any conflict between your colleagues or patient? If so, how do you prefer to solve them? Do you address them with emotional expression or do you have another approach?
Okay, conflicts is definitely something we cannot avoid now. Everywhere got conflicts. Just that how we deal with it. And conflicts are wherever you go cannot be avoided. So wherever workplace or wherever even studies everywhere, so got conflicts. I've encountered few situations with my colleagues and patient. My preferred approach is to address conflict calmly as much as we calm, because we are the healthcare provider and they are the patient who seek treatment or medicine like that from us. So whatever, even though it's our fault, we try to be as calm as possible when we handle conflicts, especially even to the colleague or the patients. Uh, no use of arguing unnecessary fights, and end of the day we have to meet each other every day, and we live in multiracial country. So end of the day, they are your colleagues. Whatever you do, they have to help. We have to help each other.
See, last question from me. Do you think your self-image affects the way you handle conflicts with your colleagues? How so?
Yeah, definitely it affects how we react or how we behave in certain places. Like through conflict, if let's say we started to argue or shout or fight, and they have bad impression on us. Let's say the patient will have bad impression on us. So the next time when the patient think of going to this particular clinic, the main thing they'll remember is the conflict, the fight, the problem that they had at that place. So it won't do any benefit for both sides. So as
Yes.
a healthcare professional, I must see myself as someone who must remain composed and I must show empathy, which impacts the way I approach conflict. I try to avoid letting emotions dictate my response in order to maintain the professionalism.
I see. So it's important to just like it does bring your self-image, because like whatever that you do at your place or your actions actually reflects on your
Correct,
personality
correct,
itself, right? Yeah,
correct, correct. Because
understand that.
someone will just can simply judge you from the way you react or you fight in especially during this conflict or any argument, people will tend to judge you and they will have an impact on you. So that is not definitely good for the business or the patient relationship, everything.
Mm, I see. Okay. So I think that's all from me and for Zana as well. Thank you so much for joining us in this interview and sharing your thoughts about it. If there is anything, maybe we will contact you. But
Can
okay, thank you so much.
have
Thank
a nice
you.
day. Thank you.